Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Cindy here from CLB Craft Creations with another card project for you in our 2016 holiday card series. We are using the Stitched with Cheer stamp set for this card project, as well as the Reason for the Season, which is in our annual catalog that was originally introduced in the holiday catalog last year. So we'll be using the sentiment from this set. I also used, which I'm not going to show you on film because I've already done it, is the Softly Falling textured embossing folder, just to put some little snowflakes on this piece of sweet sugar plum. So let's go through the pieces of this card. Our card base is Whisper White, and it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Again, the piece of sweet sugar plum, and this is actually cut at 1 inch by 5.5. And then I have a piece of the silver foil paper, which is cut at 1/2 inch by 5.5. And then I have another piece of Whisper White, which is actually cut at 3 1/4 by 5.5. And we are going to do some embossing. You certainly could do the embossing directly onto your card front, but because I'm doing the embossing, I didn't want the card to be warped, so that's why I'm using a piece of paper to layer on top, because that way I can actually smooth it out with the adhesive. But again, if you use the heavier cardstock, which I typically use, but I wanted to show just kind of some alternate ways if you don't have the thicker cardstock, but that you can just use another piece and layer it on top. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use my embossing buddy. I'm going to swipe that all over since we're doing some embossing. Now this is actually a Pinterest inspired card as well, and I will make sure that on the screen right now we'll show. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment first so that I can place my other images. And I'm stamping in Sweet Sugar Plum, and I'm stamping a Very Merry Christmas to You. And I'm going to put that down here in the bottom right. I know that this is actually very non-traditional, and although I'm making this into a Christmas card, this could easily be a winter-themed card. You could also make it into a thank you card or a winter birthday card, because we're going to be doing snowflakes. So in this set, we have the snowflake in here, which I think is just adorable. So we're going to be using that as well as the tiny itty bitty little one. So like I said, while I'm actually using Merry Christmas, you could easily change up the sentiment and do something completely different. So since I touched this, I want to go ahead and add some more of that embossing powder, or the anti-static. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my Versamark ink and my snowflake, and I'm just going to stamp that all over. Now you can't see this. I can barely see this. So I'm going to do my best to try and get this as random as possible, not overlapping. Okay, I'm going to put one down here. And I'm going to pick that up and just take a look at it real quick. Okay, I think that looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my embossing powder on now, and then I'm going to heat set it. Now I keep my embossing powders in these little Tupperware containers because it makes cleanup so much easier. So then I can just dip my paper in, scoop up some embossing powder, shake it off right inside my container. I know a lot of you really like that tip. It just saves me from having to keep little pieces of paper all over the place to scoop up any embossing powder. And I always have embossing powder everywhere. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and heat this. And just remember, you only want to keep your heat on your image until you see the image rise and get shiny. So it goes from a powdery texture to a smooth, glossy texture. Because otherwise, if you overheat it, then it basically melts into the paper. So I love this. I think this is so pretty. Something, like I said before, very non-traditional in your color schemes. Now I'm going to go with the Sweet Sugar Plum, and I'm going to add the tiny little, oh, where did he go? I had him. The tiny little star-like piece, and I'm just going to kind of stick that randomly. Just be careful because your paper is warped. And you can add more or less. This is obviously all preference. Okay, now we're basically just going to assemble. So I'm going to go ahead and open my card base up. I'm going to actually layer this piece on first. I'm just going to layer it on with snail. And you just want to be kind of generous with the edges so that you ensure a nice connection with the paper so that it flattens out. You could even use fast fuse, which would be very strong. All right, I'm just going to line this in the bottom corner. Just lining up my edges and making that flush. So pretty. I love the silver with the Sweet Sugar Plum. Okay, now I'm going to take the piece of Sweet Sugar Plum and the foil, and I'm just going to run a strip of snail down that side edge, and then just about halfway, and you can be precise if you want so that you have exactly a certain amount. I'm just eyeballing it. I got a little off down here. Okay, and then you could pop this layer up if you wanted, but I'm going to go ahead and just lay it down flush. And again, this is probably a layer that if you wanted a little extra strength or a little stronger hold, that you would use fast fuse. Okay, and now I'm just going to line this up with this other edge. And then put that down. And there's our card. And this would be a great card that you could also do in Night of Navy. I mean, really, any colors would look pretty. Red. The sample card was actually done in red, or cherry cobbler. I'm not exactly sure, but I think this just looks very wintry, and soft sky would look really pretty with this too. So I hope that you liked today's card project and you'll give it a try. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment, and I will see you in the next video.